one of them had stung me a week ago. I might have figured out a way to put him out.
Oh.
First name is
Danielle.
Spell that.
Danielle.
Last name?
Holm. Holm.
What's your social? Okay. And this is just sign and date.
Okay.
And each time I see you, help me remember because I do have to do that each time.
Okay.
And I just realized it walking back down the hall to get you that I forgot to have your husband do that. All right, so he was headed to the post office.
Yep.
Oh, to go get mail or something.
Correct.
I did that earlier. All right. This is you. This is you. All right. Just make sure. All right. All right. Now, as I expressed to him, this is not where you get your mail. So where do you get your mail? And you put your cell number on it. Okay, that's fine. But you do not have a local mailing address?
Not yet.
You gonna get a post office box or what's the plan?
I'm not sure yet. We have too many other things going on that's not even a priority. I don't really receive mail anyway, so.
Alright, and that's the one I had you sign. I filled out before you got here. So, but then we have to sign one that should be, there it is, the one that has everybody else in the world on it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's put this in here. Actually, okay, let me just, because I just realized I did it for your husband. I have to put back over here. Put his thing here. Ah, there it is. And his first name again, spell that for me.
Christian.
Thank you. Holm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Gotta make all the bells and whistles. All right. Put this on top so I remember that we need to sign. All right. Oh, that's my cancellation. That's the reason I have time to see you today. My secretary knew she was going to be out today, so she pulled all the paperwork out that she thought I might need. All right. So, your name is?
Danielle.
Daniel. And if I didn't say it, and I apologize if I didn't, I'm Dr. Bodenheimer.
Okay.
And what's your date of birth? How old are you first?
I'm 32.
32. What's your date of birth?
1/12/84.
And today's date?
10/17/2016, I believe.
Day of the week?
Monday.
What is your race?
My what?
Race?
Caucasian.
And what city are we in?
We are in. You have to. I've been traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Heflin, or we're in Anniston.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is correct.
I'm not from here, so.
I understand. And you understand why you're here today?
Yeah.
Why are you here today?
Because my son was taken from me and they need a psychiatric evaluation. And I'm trying to get him back as quickly as possible because he was taken away on false things.
And this is not a psychiatric evaluation. This is a psychological evaluation.
Oh, I see.
You got your billfold. Do you have a picture ID now?
I don't, because we're an hour away, so I didn't go back.
That's
But I'll
okay.
have
That's
it next
right.
time.
That's all right. So just
It was in my pants pocket, and I forgot to put it back. So
carry it with you from now on.
I know.
From now on. All right. So here's the thing. We're definitely not going to get finished today. There's
Okay.
no question of that. Now, and I don't think I started to say this to your husband and realized it wasn't going to happen today anyway. So, and let me just look at my calendar here a second.
Now, the only thing that I'm concerned about is my son. That's
I
all
got
I
that.
care about. So,
Right. So what I'm looking at here is if one of you wishes to come in tomorrow morning, and just one of you is all I can do.
I think the more important one is him because they're focusing more on
Right.
him. So
you're both going to do this. That's
Right.
my point. So either one of you can come in tomorrow morning. My secretary will be here after 9 a.m. So if you wish to come in at 9, if
Okay.
you want to come in at 2, it doesn't matter. Well, 2 is too late.
we have court at 1:30, so
Okay.
before that would be great.
Well, no, it's got to be early then because
Right, early.
Because the test that I want, whichever one of you take tomorrow,
Mhm.
is a true-false test.
Okay.
A little under 600 questions.
Okay.
You can't start it today and finish it next week.
Right.
You got to take it today, tomorrow, whatever day.
Yep.
That's part of the reason when I thought twice about it. I thought, no, you're not going to do it today. There's just no time.
Okay.
Besides, one of y'all's going to be outside with the dogs, from what he said.
Well, for today, because they're fixing our camper. So.
Right. So, but then I'm going to assume that after today that y'all are going to be able to leave your animals.
Hopefully, yes.
Okay. All right. So, again, here's where I am. It doesn't matter to me which one of you does this in which order. And frankly, if one of you wants to do it in the morning and there's time and you wish to do it in the afternoon, then,
Approximately how long does it take?
well, average is 2 hours.
Okay.
I've had people take as little as 30 minutes. I've had people that at 3 and 4 hours I've threatened to charge them rent.
Okay.
Okay.
What test is this?
It's a personality test.
What is it called?
It doesn't matter. It's just, you'll see when we go over it.
I only ask because I have a psychology degree, so.
A bachelor's in psychology?
Yeah.
Wait, okay, well, you'll tell me that in a little bit. MMPI.
Oh, okay.
So it's a well-validated test.
Yep.
So, and if you want to manipulate it, you can, but then that shows up on the test.
Right.
So we like all that. So the answer is always just to be honest with it.
Yep.
So if one of you would like to be here in the morning, right after 9, I'll leave my secretary a note. Unless
Okay.
I hear otherwise from her, she'll be here in the morning at
Okay.
9. If it turns out she cannot be here in the morning at 9, then you're just going to be sitting here twiddling your thumbs. If nobody shows up, I get in normally just before 10.
Okay.
Today, because she wasn't going to be here, I was here a little half hour before that. But I have other obligations in the morning, so I won't be here until just before 10.
Okay.
Assuming she's here, that will move this process along much more quickly. Now,
Yeah.
the problem is that I'm just kind of plugging you all in where I've got time to plug you in. So tomorrow I've just got 1 hour at 4 o'clock otherwise, and I'm
Okay.
happy to see either one of you.
Okay.
Wednesday I've got 1 hour at 3 o'clock. I will remind you of this each day.
Okay.
Okay. Thursday I've got an hour at 3 o'clock.
Well,
Then we're talking about next week. Well, this is just trying to get through the interview.
Yeah, I guess my question is all right, so my question is, for DHR purposes,
Yeah.
what are they going to consider complete so that they're happy, so that my son's
When
back
I'm done when I'm satisfied that you've answered all the questions I need answered for the interview process,
Yeah.
and if the test is valid,
Mhm.
then I give them verbal feedback, and then I will send them a written report. Now, the written
Okay.
report can take me as much as 2 weeks to finish it, but again, the verbal feedback is what they're looking for.
They're looking for that, okay.
Then they may need the written report for court. What are you going to court for tomorrow? What's this about?
It's the docket. I don't really know.
Docket call?
Yeah, docket call.
You don't even have to be there, but okay.
Well, we're doing every single possible step that we.
Right. This is my understanding of docket. It's just when they set the next hearing.
Yeah.
That's all that is. There's no hearing. There's no trial.
Well, we're gonna be there anyway, just because
Very
we don't
reasonable.
want any.
You have an attorney who theoretically will be there.
Yep.
theoretically, the attorney for DHR will be there. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Who is the DHR attorney?
I do not know his name. It's a man. He's tall.
So this is another person that once we know the name, y'all will both sign consent for.
Okay.
Because you want to do that. You want to be seen as cooperative every step of the way.
Right, which we have been. And honestly, we've been having conversations with everybody, and I think everybody's realizing that our baby needs to be with us as soon as possible. Right. So we've done everything, and there were false accusations. They thought that
that's what I want to get to. But here's the thing. And I understand from talking to him that it's been a whole week. Actually, I just realized I didn't have y'all sign consent for each other this morning. I'm going to leave my secretary a note that y'all need to sign consent for each other.
We don't hide anything from each other, so I understand.
All right. So I'm just going to say both Danielle and
Christian.
Yeah, because they could say thank you. Holm need to sign consent for each other and for the DHR attorney, if we know who that is, because we don't know it at this moment.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
He may know. One may come in at 9 a.m. to take him at the cut.
That'll probably be him.
That's fine. Does he need reading glasses?
No.
Okay, all right. So I'll just leave this note for my secretary. All right. So,
well, actually, he probably does need reading glasses, but he doesn't have any. So.
Well, you can go to Dollar General.
Yeah.
And get a pair for less than $5. You just keep trying them on.
Is it on a computer? The test? No? Okay.
You have to read it.
Yeah, that's fine.
You have to read it. Yeah. Okay. So let's pretend that I have not spoken to him at all.
Okay.
So tell me, how did you get involved with DHR?
Okay, so I had the baby last Monday morning, and Tuesday I was just breastfeeding the baby, and Christian and I were speaking because prior to having my child, we were walking from town to town. We put my car in storage in Montgomery, and we had been traveling for a while.
How long was a while?
We left New Hampshire where we were living in May, and we started traveling by driving the car.
Car?
Yep. So we drove south. We drove to Florida. Then we drove over to Colorado, down to Arizona, back over to Alabama.
Florida, Colorado, Arizona, Alabama.
Yeah. So we were just kind of going wherever we felt like we, were led. Always mountains, it seems. So we wanted to go towards Colorado because I love Colorado. Wanted to be in the mountains.
And where would y'all sleep?
At that point, we had a canvas tent, like a 10-person tent. So we would stay in the national forest, and we were basically camping.
All right. So you stay in the national forest wherever you were?
Yeah.
All right. And like in their campsites, or where would you stay?
Yep, campsites in the national forest.
All right. So now what happened?
So when we got to Alabama, we decided, because of our views of, I have Native American in me. So. Okay,
so you're part Native. What part?
Yes. I'm not really sure. I'm actually working on trying to figure that out.
All right. But you don't know if you're half, a quarter, an eighth, a 16th?
I'm really not sure.
You don't know the percentage.
Yeah. So we're trying to figure that out now. We're in communication with the tribe and everything. So because of that, I have a connection to wanting to be closer to nature and wanting to live more simply and not being in cities and things like that. And we have pretty strong beliefs about that. So we felt the need to travel and just share what we believe with others, as well as taking care of other people and ministering to people. And we really just have a passion for helping others, and we feel the best way to help others is to not necessarily be in your car helping others, but walking, because when you're walking, you're seeing people on the road, you're seeing people stop in cars, you're seeing people in stores, you're seeing people everywhere. It's the best way to touch people. Mother Teresa did it, everybody,
Mother Teresa was in poverty. She was in abject poverty.
She was.
And she didn't have a choice.
Right.
For decades. And in fact, that has been a criticism of her is that she refused the assistance when it was available. Didn't
Yep.
change the fact that she became a pope, but that was actually a very valid criticism
Yep.
of her.
So we decided to just travel, and I was pregnant, and I thought it was great exercise. I did have prenatal care along the way, and we.
You did have prenatal care?
Yep. So my husband.
Where did you have your prenatal care?
So it started in New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
At a midwife. I had it with a midwife. Started in New Hampshire, and then along the way, I went to a place called New Beginnings.
So New Hampshire, you saw a midwife. You saw
midwife.
Uh-huh. And how far along were you at that point?
So I found out I was pregnant in December, January, February, March, April, May. So up until about 5.5 months.
So you saw the midwife for 5.5 months?
Yep.
Starting when you were how far along?
About 6 weeks.
6 weeks to 5.5 months. All right. And then what?
Then when we left, we were in Arizona, and I went to a place called New Beginnings in Payson, where they offer prenatal care, and they also offer prenatal classes where you get points, and you get baby supplies for every class you attend. So I did that once a week.
For how many weeks?
That was about a month to a month and a half. About 6 weeks.
And you got supplies?
Supplies, yep.
For going to classes?
Right. And then also I went to a couple of different hospitals, one in Arizona and then another one in Alabama recently.
You remember which hospital in Arizona?
I don't.
Remember where it was in Arizona?
We were in Payson, so in the Payson area.
Area?
Yeah.
All right, and one hospital in Alabama, you know which one or where?
No, but I can look it up.
You can tell me next time.
Yeah, I can let you know.
All right, so.
And I had a sonogram, so I actually have the paperwork for that, showing that everything was healthy and fine. So our intention was, my husband has a house in his name in Georgia. It's in a trust. It's tied up right now in a trust. He's been kind of in a rough battle with his family because he's an heir to this trust. And his family doesn't really like that very much. So they've been trying to keep everything away from him.
So you've seen all the paperwork?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've been thoroughly involved with it.
But when I say you've seen the paperwork, it's not just that he's told you. You've actually sat down and read all of
I've been with his
everything.
family. I've gone over everything. I was there when his grandfather passed away.
Right,
I was
so
there
you've
for
been
everything.
involved.
So he has a house in his name in Savannah, and we were, in Midway, Georgia, and we were waiting.
So you said where in Georgia?
Midway.
Midway, Georgia.
Right outside of Savannah. And we were waiting to hear word if we could live there because his father has a life estate with the house. Christian is the remainder man on the house. And his father...
Christian is the what on it?
The remainder man.
Remainder man.
Yep. So...
That's the term?
It is.
Never heard of it.
So basically it means it's his house when the person that has the life estate either gives it up or passes away. And then it gets turned over to Christian and it's in his name. So we were going back and forth with his father for a little while. His father knew I was pregnant. He knew we were looking for a place to live. This house was passed down to Christian a long time ago by his grandmother. And when his grandmother passed away, a lot of things got flipped around by the grandfather. And now Christian is in a legal kind of battle situation with his family, with this trust that everybody's fighting over. So we were waiting for this house, and we were under the impression we were going to be moving into this house, and then we ended up finding out that his father, rather than having the house be empty like we thought it was going to be, his father decided to start renting it out to other people, strangers. And he's not backing down, and then he changed his phone number, and he's no longer able to be contacted by us.
Can't get him because changed his stuff.
Yep. So when I went into labor, we were still in the process of trying to figure out what we wanted to do because I didn't want to keep traveling.
So where were you when you went into labor?
We were at the Cheetah State Park.
All right. So you didn't want to keep traveling.
Mhm. And
You were at Cheetah.
so we were at the hospital and we wanted to talk to a social worker. So we called the social worker at the hospital to see if we could get help for housing. She came in, she spoke to us, we told her our entire situation, we're very honest with her. She said she was going to look into some information. I told her also that, a side note that has nothing to do with this, maybe that she could help me because I was thinking about also applying for some sort of disability situation because I have a 12-inch metal rod in my back from scoliosis. This pregnancy has kind of caused a lot of issues with that. So I talked to her about that. I talked to her about the housing. We talked to her about just completely upfront thinking that we were just, looking for help and looking to gain some advice because we're not from Alabama and we don't know where to start. And now we're here, we're having the baby, and we want a stable place to go because this house was falling through in Georgia. So she said she was going to call us back that day. This was last Tuesday. Instead of calling us back, all of a sudden Child Protective Services showed up.
And what did they tell you?
They told us that they literally didn't tell us anything, to be honest. We were really confused as to why they were there. They showed up and said that they got a call. They had to come in and investigate. She was actually really nice at first. She was just, investigating, asking questions.
Who was she?
Stacy at DHR.
Don't know her last name?
It might be Jackson. So she was just asking questions, and we were once again honest about. She was asking about our religious views. We don't really consider ourselves religious, but
why was she asking a religious question?
Why was she? Because she was asking why we were walking from town to town, because she actually saw us walking and she drove by us one day. And so she was asking what we were doing, where we were living. We were kind of telling her, well, we just talked to social services in the hospital because we're trying to figure that out right now before we leave the hospital, what our options are. It's kind of sad that we tried calling for help and this is what happens. So we talked to Stacy. Everything seemed fine. She just seemed like she was asking questions, and we were very honest with her, and we even said, now that you're here, maybe you can offer some help and guidance, because social services in the hospital, that's why we called them in here. So she said, you know what, that's a good, because we asked her, we said, what is the most simple way we can live? Sticking to our beliefs, Native American, closer to nature, what's the most simple way we can live without there being any problems? Because now obviously there's a problem. And she said, that's a great question that I've never been asked. Let me go talk to my supervisor. So she left the room. We thought she was making phone calls. About a half hour later, I'm laying in the hospital bed. My son's on my chest breastfeeding. And 4 cops walk in. A detective walks in. Stacy walks in with the girl that she was there with, working with. The cops come in, ask Christian to come with him out in the hallway. So they separated Christian and I. And the detective, Rachel Israel, stood next to me to my left as I'm breastfeeding. Stacy, he was here. The girl with Stacy was at the end of the bed. And then a security officer from the hospital was on this side. And this is when it gets pretty hard for me. So my son was on my chest, and he had only been born 24 hours before this. So I am like all about natural as much as possible. Sure. Organic foods, breastfeeding, no formula, bonding. Like I said, I have a degree in psychology. I know a lot about the mind and how the mind is formed as far as bonding with mother and child. I went to school wanting to be a school counselor because I love children. And so my son's on my chest, bonding, breastfeeding. I'm fully content. This woman comes over to me. She says, "What is your name?" I say, "Danielle Holm." She says, "Do you have an ID?" And I said, "Yep." I gave her my license, my passport. I gave her my social security number. And she said, "You sure your name's not Daniela?" And I said, "No, it's Danielle. Danielle Nicole Holm." And she said, "What is your husband's name?" I said, "Christian Clarke Holm." And she said, "Does he go by any other name?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, we have reason to believe that you are a part of drug and human trafficking. And we are taking your son. He is now ours." And she went to reach down to grab my son, and naturally, I pull him a little bit closer to me. I start literally shaking like I was in fear at this point, because I just felt like she was coming in and devouring my child. She grabs him as he's latched on to my right breast, and I just remember like saying, "Please, please don't touch my child. Please don't touch my child. He's latched on." And she grabs him, literally ripping him off of my chest as he's latched on. He starts crying. I went to get up because I didn't know what else to do. Motherly instincts. My child, like I need to protect my child. And the security officer at the hospital pulled my arm back and said, "Danielle, you need to let them take him. There's no way out of this. You need to let him go." So then all of a sudden I just remember being in a whirlwind, and I'm hearing in the background my child crying, and they're taking him. I don't know where he's going. The detective starts interrogating me, asking me again what my name is, where I've been, if I've been in Arizona, which I have very recently. Questions about my husband, what his name is, if he's been arrested, all of these things. And she also, I'm going to back it up. When she grabbed my son, I said, he's breastfeeding. What are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you taking him off of me? And she says, she's like, she bends down and looks at me, and she says, she's like, he wasn't feeding. He wasn't feeding on you. It was like she was trying to tell me he wasn't eating.
Okay.
So, and then I just remember, like, it's all a blur. I just remember being extremely upset, not knowing what was going on. She starts searching my bag, which is fine. It was full of baby clothes. My husband had a 4-inch knife, because when we're out in the woods, all I eat is fruits and vegetables. So he gets oranges, and he cuts like oranges with a knife. And so he had a 4-inch knife in my bag. He had pepper spray, because when we're in the woods, there's animals. And he had a lighter because of fire. So she starts waving these things around, saying, "There's weapons, there's weapons, there's weapons," causing a scene for everybody to see. As I'm just sitting there not able to speak because I'm completely beside myself, not knowing what's going on, trembling, crying. And that's all I can say about that situation. Nothing really.
So did you stay in the hospital, or did you leave
I
that day?
stayed in the hospital, so that was Tuesday night, and I was discharged on Wednesday. So I stayed in the, oh wait, is it Wednesday, Thursday? Can't remember now. My mind's been everywhere, so
okay. All right.
I was discharged either Wednesday or Thursday, I don't remember, but I basically sat in the hospital, felt completely abandoned by the hospital, because after that situation, it was like my care stopped. No doctor ever came in to check on me before I was discharged.
You never saw a doctor again?
I never once saw a doctor. I delivered the child and saw no doctor.
Okay. You know who the doctor was that delivered your
Dr.
baby?
Johansson. So I sat in the hospital room with my husband, him and I, beside ourselves, upset, emotional, trying to figure things out, trying to make phone calls, trying to get help any which way we could, trying to figure out what the heck was going on, because it seemed as though at that point the major thing was they thought that we were human and drug traffickers. That there was nothing else. There was no other reason for anything.
So have they now found out, been able to prove or disprove that?
So my husband went into the police station, got fingerprints. So now the fingerprints are in the system, but he also got copies of them, so he gave DHR copies. No one said anything definitively. However, I spoke to Stacy at DHR today, and she basically is making it seem like it's not a big deal, it's not him. I did my own research, and I found the person who they think Christian was.
Oh, good.
His name is Richard Christian Holm, not Christian Clarke Holm.
All right, so you spoke to Stacy at DHR, and everything seems okay.
Everything seems okay.
And you did your own research.
Did my own research. It's Richard Christian Holm, who lives in Arizona, who was arrested for human and drug trafficking over a year ago, March of 2015. We weren't anywhere near Arizona in March of 2015. He was in Savannah, and I was in Sarasota, Florida.
All right, and so have they been able now to show that it's not him?
They have, but they're not really telling us that because I think that they're afraid that there's a lawsuit that could happen right now because they took our child on false accusations a day after he was born.
All right. So is there anything else that you think they could have taken your child about?
There's absolutely nothing. We called them to ask for housing guidance, housing assistance, but there are people that are homeless with children. There are people that don't have money with children. There are people who are on drugs with children, people who have DUIs with children. We don't have any of it. We're a perfectly normal, loving, married couple who respect each other and love each other, and we're looking so forward to being parents to this baby.
All right. So, well, hopefully you'll get your child back. Unfortunately, it has to happen in the way that I can make it happen from my end. Now, what are the criteria? You said a psychiatric evaluation, which I corrected. You said psychological.
Okay.
I am not a psychiatrist. I'm a psychologist.
They've just been saying psychiatric evaluation, but if they're the ones that made this appointment, then...
All right, so that's right. All right, so psychological evaluation. And the fingerprints, was that a requirement? Is that something
It was. The only things that they were looking for...
both of you or just for him?
No, just for him.
All right.
The only things that they were looking for at this point were fingerprints, clearing him for security. That's done. That's out of the way. And the psych eval. For both of us and for me, because they contacted my mother, and my mother is not a good person. She's not a good mother. She is the one that has had psych evaluations. I've always been the one to take care of her and my sister because of her addictions and...
What were her addictions?
Growing up, she was addicted to marijuana and painkillers, and I literally helped raise my sister. I had to grow up very quickly. I basically did not have a life. I did not have a teenage life. I didn't have anything like that because I sacrificed to take care of my sister because she's 10 years younger than me. So my mother is a very... she was not a good mother. There was neglect, there was abandonment, and
I'm sorry, you said your sister's how much younger?
10 years younger. So when I was 10, I was actually taking care of an infant.
Okay, all right.
So anyways, they contacted my mom, and I've had an estranged relationship with my mom for a very long time, and my mom has met Christian one time for about 10 minutes, and she has very different views than I do as far as religious things go, and she uses those against me.
What is different?
She is... I don't want to say anything to offend anybody. But she is... she considers herself a Christian. I do not. She goes to church every Sunday, but she is the kind of Christian that will not help others. She doesn't care to go out of her way to help others. She does not. She has a few bedrooms in her house, and she would never let me stay there with the baby. DHR asked my mother, if for some reason this child had to be put into custody of a relative, would you be willing? And she said absolutely not. So she's that kind of person. And I am completely opposite of that. Okay. So
now, since he seems to be the issue based on what you're saying, it occurs to me that it might be advantageous for you to get finished more quickly with your evaluation than him, and potentially, and I'm not telling you this could happen at all, but potentially if you could get cleared, you could get custody back, but he might not be allowed to be around the baby except under supervised by somebody else visitation.
So in other words, they would separate a loving couple?
If you want to get your child back more quickly, I'm just making a suggestion to you. If you do not care, it's not my issue. I'm just suggesting, since it sounds like he is the issue more so than you.
Says who though? Like
just what you just said.
I'm not saying he's the issue. I'm saying
you're saying he had to be fingerprinted.
He had to be fingerprinted. That's done. That's out of the question. That's cleared.
Okay.
So now both of us need the psych evaluations. They wanted him to do a psych evaluation because I feel as though they're attacking him because of the fingerprint situation, but that was false.
Okay.
So this situation is crazy. We are completely normal, loving people. That's all I can say. We respect each other, we love each other, we have a great relationship, and we both want what's absolutely the best for our child. We've been running around trying to get everything squared away, everything done that we possibly can do. We called about 20 psychologists at the end of last week trying to get a psych eval on our own because we were afraid that DHR was going to take too long.
Now, how would you pay for it?
We have Medicare.
You have Medicare?
Yes.
You've got Medicare?
Yes.
Medicare? That's unusual. Medicare,
Medicaid.
That's very different.
Whichever one.
Well, Medicaid is very different. Medicaid will not pay in Alabama. I can't speak for other states. Every state is different. In Alabama, Medicaid will not pay for an adult unless you do have Medicare Part B.
I'm not sure which it is that I have. Like I said, we're switching everything over. We had it in Arizona, and because everything's snowballing and everything's happening so quickly.
Do you have your cards with you?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you'll look at your card when you get back. Medicare Part
What does that have
B,
anything to do with anything?
Well, you were just saying you were going to pay for it yourself, and so I was trying to understand.
No. That's not what I said.
Okay,
I said that I was trying to find a place. DHR told me that I had permission if I found somebody quicker than they could, that they would honor that.
Okay.
So.
All right. So apparently that didn't work out. So you were gonna.
It only didn't.
DHR would.
It only didn't work out because DHR really stepped it up today because they're recognizing that this child needs to come back to us because Christians spent time with them. I've spent time with them, and they're all realizing at this point that we are good parents, that we are good people. They've seen Christian and I with our child. They understand that there were false accusations that have nothing to do with them. It came from this detective, Rachel Israel, who's part of the sheriff's department. So that's where the problem is. It's not necessarily with Child Protective Services. Child Protective Services is now recognizing, okay, there was a problem, there was false accusations, we just have to kind of finish what we started and wrap it up so your child can come back to you.
You did tell me earlier today that you have an attorney, and I don't remember who your attorney is. That's
Jennifer Wilkinson?
That's right, and I think that's one of the people that you signed consent for, wasn't it?
Yep.
I'm trying to find that page, and that's not it.
Do you have any children?
Here it is. Jennifer Wilkinson. Okay, all right, so we've got it covered. So, all right, so your attorney has advised you at this point to say or do what? Now, is this someone that y'all have employed, this court has appointed?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so your attorney is court appointed?
Correct.
All right, but she still works for you?
Right. Well, let's hope.
Well, by law she works for you. Because if she's court appointed, the state will pay her. Theoretically and technically, you have to reimburse the state, so that's a whole different issue. But for the moment, at the moment, that's not the issue. The issue is, so what has your attorney advised you? Have you met with her?
I've only met with her one time in court, and there really hasn't been any advisement whatsoever. I saw her earlier today when I visited my son, and she told me she would call me later because I was distraught this weekend. I am going through postpartum physical symptoms right now.
Are you pumping your breast milk?
Every 2 to 3 hours.
Okay, that's a good thing.
It would be even greater if my son could be doing it himself, but
you are pumping your breast milk. And are you able to save it, or are you having to toss it?
I've been saving as much as I possibly can, and I actually gave them about 10 bottles today. So
wonderful.
But I need
10 bottles today for him.
Yes.
All right. And what is your son's name?
We do not have a name yet because I want to be able to spend an adequate amount of time with him.
So what's his last name?
Holm.
And what is his date of birth?
It is 10/10/2016.
Okay. All right. And because you want to spend time with him.
Yeah, and I feel like that is a sacred thing that I haven't yet had an opportunity to have. I spent a day with him.
All right. Any names that you're leaning towards?
No.
Okay. Any names your husband's leaning towards?
No. And even if we were, I wouldn't want to tell anyone because I need to spend my time with him.
So when you had that few hours with him, because it was less than 24 from what you said, what did you call him? Hey, you?
What do I have to call him anything for?
You're talking to a baby.
I said, my beautiful baby.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
My beautiful, precious baby.
Right.
Such a good boy. Like, there's no need for a title when all I feel is love.
All right.
The title can come later. The love needs to happen now. I know that's like a crazy thing for people to think, but
no, that's fine. I just wanted to understand. All right. So, are they telling you anything else at all about what may be delaying the return of this child to you, to your husband, to both of you?
Disappointment.
Well, this is more than just appointment. In fact, our time is just about to run
I
out.
actually spoke to Stacy today, and she was very genuine, and she said, this is really the only thing that we need right now to bring your son home.
Okay.
That's it. And so I'm asking woman to woman, I don't know if you have children, but anything that you can do. I am devastated without my child.
I'm sure you are. I have no doubt.
And my husband is just as devastated, and he's very supportive of me.
So here's what the situation is. And I may have said this to your husband, but I don't think so. I think somebody else I saw today. I want you, and actually I'm rethinking what I was about to say anyway. This is the way it works. You have given me the background on this. There may be some more questions that I think about as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly have a lot more questions about your background and his background. As a consequence of that, I know I'm going to be spending at least another 1 to 2 hours with each of you minimally. It could be 5 or 6. Had this not been an emergency, they would have scheduled it with me in a couple of weeks. We would have knocked some time off. We would have knocked most of this out in a matter of a couple of days. Unfortunately, we're plugging you in this week where I have openings. So I'm going to get y'all as finished as possible. Then, as I explained to you before, I will have a verbal feedback to your caseworker. Now, the caseworker at DHR...
Alex.
Yes, Alex Martin, I think is her last name, in Cleveland County. And so that's the person that I'll speak to and give her some verbal feedback once I'm finished. If I have any other questions for her, because she gave me very little background. She's told me that it was a gag order. Well, I read the paper, so I knew immediately what that was. I didn't know what the reasons were. I just had read a little bit in the paper. And so I assumed that was your case. She never said it was, but I just assumed that. She also told me that it was an emergency situation. They were trying to move this along as quickly as possible.
Because they recognize that...
Well, this is last week that I received a contact.
Yeah.
So, all right. So right now, my suggestion is that, frankly, I would do it if I were you. I would be the one to come in tomorrow. This is just my suggestion. Since you're of the belief that you are not the issue as much as he is.
I did not say that.
Oh, well, that was what I heard you say.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
All right, well,
what I'm saying is that they originally only asked him, and then I said, okay, do you need both of us? And they said, since he's doing it, you might as well. That's all that they said.
That's the way they worded it. They were always going to require you. But, all right, so one of you come in the morning after 9. As you saw me do, I leave my secretary a note.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, she'll be here in the morning.
Yep.
And she will set whichever one of you up to go ahead and take the MMPI.
Okay, and then when would the other one of us be able to do it?
Well, depending on what time the first one gets finished.
Yep.
In theory, the other one could either do it tomorrow also,
Okay.
or the next day again after 9 a.m.
Okay.
Okay, so that part of it is not a big deal.
I mean, if we have to come here twice a day for the next few days,
right,
we'll do that.
I understand that. Now, tomorrow at 4 p.m., I have an opening, which I'm happy to plug either one of you into.
Yes.
And I've got a 3 p.m. opening on the next day.
Okay.
So I'm just going to write both of you in
Yes.
for those times. So here's my pencil. So I'm just going to, I don't know which one of you it's going to be. I'm just going to write home. And give me a phone number.
480-343-1046.
All right, and I'm just going to say 480. What was that?
1046.
Just making sure, because I heard it differently. I wrote that down, but I thought, is that what she just said?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's the best. Now, if I get some cancellations, it's not unusual, but we only had one, which is why you're sitting here right now.
Yeah.
Because I had someone scheduled. So
tomorrow be here at 9.
Be here at 9.
Okay.
So, but to see me is going to be at 4.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm just going to write on the side 9 a.m. for test.
To be honest, I think that the more appropriate thing is to get him done as soon as possible.
It's up to you. Doesn't matter to me. All right, now, and so I'm going to also give you a card for this. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and plug y'all in. Well, I'm not going to give you a card for it. I'm just going to plug you in. And in fact, I have another agency evaluation on Thursday at 1. It's a 2-hour appointment. Occasionally for this agency, people just don't show up.
Okay.
So my suggestion to you is to maybe even give us a call. How long would it take you to get here?
About an hour.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. So, and we won't know until almost 1 o'clock whether this person is coming or not.
Okay.
So if you want to just drive back, you got to be here for 3 anyway, and just be here for 1. If the person's here, I'm not going to see you, but if they're not, that gives us 3 whole hours that we can theoretically get most of this knocked out.
So just be here at 1 just in case on Thursday.
That's what I would suggest.
What time? All right, so tomorrow at 9 and 4, and then what did you say for Wednesday?
I'm getting ready to give you a card for October 19th that one would be at 3.
Okay, good, because I see my son at 9 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
That's good. All right, and I'm going to put 9 a.m. And I guess I will go ahead and give you a card. You just circle the phone number if you need to call for any reason, like if you can't be here.
Now,
but I imagine you're going to be here.
You do understand the bonding process with infant and mom, right?
I understand. Unfortunately, that's a legal issue.
I understand.
I'm just trying to move this along as much as I can.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Thursday, October 20th.
I just want to make sure I have compassionate people that are working on this.
And I'm going to put in parentheses 1 p.m. because that's that 2-hour appointment that we don't know if they're going to show up or not.
Yep. Okay. So October.
So if you want to, that's what I'm looking at here. So if you'll, so that's the best I can do for you.
Okay, so I know that tomorrow morning I'll have him do the test.
Right.
Come back at 4. Is that for?
Either one of it doesn't matter to me because I got tons of questions.
When would the test be though for the other?
9 the next day.
The next day at 9. Oh, yeah. That's there. Okay.
Yeah, see there? Okay.
Yep. Okay.
So let's just move along as quickly as we can.
9.
Yeah, I've got all 3 days in a row. I've got October 18th, 19th, and 20th. Did I give you all 3 days?
Crap. So, yes, but 9 a.m., that's when I visit with my son.
Then you won't come, then make it Thursday at 9. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
So it really does.
Just show up.
Well, don't just show up. Discuss it with my secretary tomorrow and tell her, I'm visiting with my son on Wednesday because you just thought of that, and I didn't even hear you say it, but once you said it again, I was like, oh, yeah, that's what you just said. So you will, when you come in tomorrow, to do that, just tell my secretary that you're going to be, but would it be all right for Thursday, that I've already said it was, but you're just letting her know.
Okay.
And then just come back on Thursday morning. We're not going to be finished on Thursday at that point anyway. So unless it's been, because remember, Thursday's the day that I've got that 2-hour maybe opening.
Okay.
Right. But you're going to be here almost every day this week. So get comfortable, get used to it, okay?
Fine.
And of course, I hope you don't have to bring your pets again, but if you do, you do.
And then if we do everything this week,
well, hopefully we'll get finished. I cannot predict if I'll be finished with all of my questions. But once you get the test knocked out, that'll be a big deal. It's the interview part at that point, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, y'all don't need any kind of signed anything from me, do you?
I don't believe so.
Because he's signing in like you just did. As a matter of fact, do me a favor and send him right in to sign that other form for me real fast.
Okay.
And I won't lock this. I was getting ready to lock it, but I won't lock it. If you'll come in real fast.
Okay.